It was a stunning development for city officials who last year poured millions of dollars into new initiatives aimed at moving homeless people off of our streets. The homeless population in the city of Los Angeles, though, actually increased a staggering 16% over the last year, according to the latest count of people living on the streets. Reporters Benjamin Oreskes and Douglas Smith have been providing extensive coverage on the issue for the LA Times, and they join us now. Hi, guys. I wish we had better news to report, don't you?
Yeah.
We do.
Were you stunned at the results?
This number had sort of been in the air for a couple weeks. We've been hearing from various different sources that it was going to be bad. Elected officials had kind of been hinting at it, but still to see a double-digit increase after a year where it had gone down was nonetheless, I think, dispiriting for many in this field who have been trying to work to sort of reduce the number of people who are homeless in our city and county.
Douglas, tell us what a point-in-time count is and what it found.
So a point-in-time count is required by the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and every area of the country does one. In Los Angeles, it's a major undertaking, one of the most difficult in America. So the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority has a really large volunteer effort which attracts about 8,000 people.
We know that counting is the beginning of caring. We can end homelessness. We will end homelessness in our time, but it starts with this count. So I want to thank all the volunteers who come out, who do this work.
It's grown over the years, and they now divide those people up into teams that look at every census tract in the county, except 3 cities who do their own counts: Pasadena, Long Beach, and Glendale. And these teams go out and they look for people who are sitting, on the street or living in tents or in cars or RVs, and they make note of that, and then those are sent back to LAHSA. And then during the early part of the year, a massive survey is done. About 5,000 homeless people are surveyed with a lengthy questionnaire, and that questionnaire is used to estimate the number of people who live on average in each tent or in each car or RV. And so those numbers are then compiled in a statistical estimate of which we call the count, which is actually truly an estimate.
Let's talk about the breakdown, okay? So overall for the county, 12% increase. LA City, 16% increase. But what about our other areas, the West Side, the San Gabriel Valley?
Sure. The West Side, 19% increase.
Wow.
San Gabriel Valley, 17%. Those are 2 areas where, in terms of the total number, they're not as many. Most of our homeless population lives in Metro LA. That would sort of make sense because that's where Skid Row is. But nonetheless, those numbers are very striking, and you can kind of understand why they might be that way.
But why is it that way, that big jump in the suburbs?
Well, it's sort of why is it that way across the whole county as well. I mean, the region has become increasingly expensive to live in, and unlike years past, officials were much more ready to directly tie this to the explosion in the cost of rent. One study recently found that you have to make triple minimum wage, so about $47 an hour, to be able to afford an affordable house or affordable apartment in our county, which is just like a sort of startling number when you think about it.
Well, and by the way, we'll get to Orange County in a bit because they have some shocking statistics too, but I want to stay with LA County right now. So we're talking about overall in the county about 59,000 people who are without homes, and yet we've been throwing some money at this problem, right? The superintendents have voted $460 million to put toward the problem. Governor Gavin Newsom says he will spend $1 billion, $650 million of which will be in the form of emergency grants for different communities. I mean, we're doing everything we can. Voters have tried their best, right? We've passed Measure H and Prop HH, and yet still we have these numbers.
This is a kind of a turning point. I think there has been a philosophy for years of ending homelessness, and those 2 measures were campaigned for and adopted in that context. And I think this is the first year we're seeing officials kind of back off from that mantra of ending homelessness, and they're talking about other larger problems that have to be dealt with, in particular housing affordability and rent prices.
one county official talked about the influx of newly homeless people, how it's just really hard to keep up with the demand for shelter, that every day for the 133 people can be housed, but another 150 new people joined the count of homeless. And in the midst of all that, we have bills that have not passed that would guarantee more affordable housing.
We have an affordability crisis in this state. We're 49th out of 50th in per capita housing units. California is simply not producing enough housing. This is the issue.
There's a huge deficit of affordable housing. 500,000 new units are needed of affordable housing. But it's a very hot political issue because building more affordable housing means high density construction, and we're a region that has built its lifestyle on low density single family homes. So there's a built-in conflict.
What are we to do if the communities where the homeless live don't want shelters in those communities?
It's sort of a broader cultural change in our county that might be required. And we're seeing this in terms of opposition towards legislative action in Sacramento, in terms of opposition towards blocking rent hikes. This is what the city needs, that's what officials are telling us. And still, there are groups that don't want these people to be living near them, yet aren't necessarily offering a solution to where these people could go to live.